Hi, this is Laura Jane, and I'm back to share another one of these modern yogi secrets with you. And this one might be surprising, and it might even be a little bit controversial, and it might even piss some of us off. But I'm looking at it as how yoga and meditation can help us to rock and even rewire our mental health. So I'm going to let that one settle in for a moment. Because mental health, right? This is one of these issues that we have a lot of belief systems about. And that's what this is going to invite you to look at right away. Like, how much of our mental health do we think is just something that we've inherited, something that we got from our parents, or just from how we were raised, or just how we've always been, or how we were born. And as much as I'm into honoring our nature and being good at acknowledging what's true for us, I'm also excited about what's possible here, especially in the realms of something like mental health, because this is such an issue that really traumatizes a lot of our lives, right? And especially as we get into looking for help sometimes, this leads to even more labels, maybe more judgments, and maybe even more getting stuck in some patterns and some things that don't feel so good, in ways that we don't want to be living or feeling in our lives, much less in our relationships and in our moments. So I'm really pumped to share what I'm discovering along my journey with things like yoga and meditation, and really sharing the truths about what these things can be, and also how we can use them as a therapy for ourselves and as a lifestyle that can really translate into more like mental health, and even ways that we can manage our mental health and improve our mental health. But it does involve this willingness to own it, that we could have a power here and a say in how we can feel and how we can approach these things, and that there's a lot possible. So I'm going to invite you to take that first step with yourself if you're willing to look at this issue with me, because I feel like it is so worth it. And I'm certainly excited about people young and old getting in touch with this approach that I think we get from yoga and meditation, that a lot of us, I think, are really ready for in our lives. I also love sharing these truths about yoga and meditation because I think that there's some misconceptions and misperceptions about what yoga and meditation are. So even those of us who think we like these things and even use them may be really limited with how we're using them, how we're approaching how they can work for us, and maybe sometimes not using them because we've decided what we already think they can be and how they can be used. So I'm just so excited to empower us all, again, from my experience working with myself and getting to work with other people, to just explore and expand what's possible here in the realms of mental health, which also may be kind of a new concept in something like yoga and maybe meditation, that we've heard so much about how it can help our physical health, which is certainly related to our mental health, right? But just to see how we can use these practices as a system of managing our mental health, and even the surprises of things like yoga is really a system of psychology more than anything, which I stumbled across that wisdom in these last 5 years or so, after almost 20 years of teaching yoga. But to really understand that yoga is a system of psychology more than a system of exercises is one of the places to start, with how you can see that this is a way that we can go about mental health, and more of the mental health we might like, which is a very yogi thing to do, to actually decide we want to focus on what we do want, and to decide how we're going to move more towards what we want with our focus and our lifestyle and our practices and even our belief systems. So mental health and how yoga and meditation can rock and even rewire these things. The next piece that I should share, which I say this every time I get to teach and talk, I think, that getting back to yoga and what yoga really means is, yoga just means union, or to connect, or to join. So we can start to see that lots of things can be part of our yoga, and that really anything that we do in the name of connecting ourselves, reconnecting ourselves, can be part of our yoga. So certainly we do have those amazing poses and postures, and we use exercises that are curative and transformative and awesome. But there's so much more to yoga. And even while we're doing those exercises, there's a way that we can be approaching it that, again, brings in that system of psychology. But most of all, to know that it's about connection more. It's about union for us, about more feelings of joining. And then there's the question of joining or connecting with what. And what I've realized is really cool about yoga, and maybe a modern yogi secret, is you get to personalize and decide that as well. You get to decide what your connection is about. So maybe you're just thinking about it as you connecting more with you, maybe you connecting more with your heart, or maybe something inside that's more like your inner, wiser, higher self. Maybe you like to think of it as like a divine part of you, or even God within, if you like those words. But your practices, your yoga, being a lot about your reconnecting in those various ways. And you get to decide, again, whether it's you connecting with you connecting with your heart, you connecting with your true self, you connecting with the universe, you connecting with your spirit guides, whatever you like to call it. You get to decide that. But that can be what you can see your yoga can be a lot about. So that's where you start to see that lots of things can be part of your yoga. Your time on the mat might be part of that, but you also may add in things like I love to share, like journaling, or even music, or dancing, or walking. Lots of things can be part of our yoga. And the more personal you get, the more you move towards what feeds you and fills you as part of your connecting, the better. And we'll get into that more in a little bit here. But so yoga just meaning union or to connect. So really meaning more of a life and a lifestyle that's about connection, more choosing things that connect us, choosing ways that we're going through our days, choosing ways that we're starting our days, choosing ways that are even being in our moments that are more about connection for us. So this becomes in our perspectives, in our psychology, and of course in our practices, right? And then there's also the equally broad and basic word of meditation, which I think has just as many misconceptions these days. And I'm so excited to share what I'm seeing about the simplicity and the therapy that we can do with the most simple of meditation. So meditation is one of those things that's vast and wide and always growing, and lots of forms and styles. But when we look at that word meditation, it really just means to focus our attention on something. So really anything could be a meditation. You start to see that even stopping and smelling a flower is a meditation, reading a book is a form of a meditation, certainly staring at the sky is meditation, time on your mat is a form of meditation, walking, dancing, a conversation is a meditation. Lots of things can be meditation. So first of all, we own it in that sense with that word, that meditation is more about how we're handling our attention and our focus and our awareness, and even what we're choosing to meditate on becomes important, especially when we're thinking about mental health. Because as we realize that whatever we're meditating on or focusing on in our days is affecting how we feel and how we focus, and even our mental health, that we can start to look at what are the meditations that we're putting into our days, whether it's actual formal seeming meditation of just sitting in any comfortable position and closing your eyes, or your time on Facebook or watching the news or other things that no judgment, which we should talk soon about non-judgment, but those are meditations too. And we get to just look at how is that making me feel? Is that a connecting practice for me? And if it is, then great. You can call it part of your yoga or even a meditation that you choose. But just to be aware of what our meditations in life are and how it's making us feel becomes important as part of this yoga and meditation, rocking and rewiring even our mental health. So you can start to see how already just looking at yoga and meditation more broadly, more basically, but also I think just more truthfully with what they can be and how we can use them as a therapy for ourselves. And that's really my spin and my interest, is sharing how we can use these things as a therapy for ourselves, on ourselves, with ourselves. And I really love that. It's something that you do to yourself and a way to tune ourselves, whether it be about tuning in more to ourselves and or tuning up ourselves with these practices, the perspectives, and the psychology. So it all is part of it, you can start to see. So more about how yoga and meditation specifically can rock our mental health. I think one of the pieces I feel is most important with what we get from this, because certainly there's two pieces we get from our yoga and meditation. We're getting a chance, first of all, to tune in more to how we're doing. Basically to just build in some time to drop in and check out how we're doing, to look within, see what is on our mind, what kind of feelings are going on with us right now, what is happening in our lives, how we're doing, and sure, also how the body's doing as well. And that is often an indicator of these other pieces, right? Because it all is so connected. And part of what yoga reminds us is that it's all energy. So we get to look at it all as energy and address it all as energy. And that's where it's exciting that we can also change how we feel. Because once we get a chance to tune in more to how we're feeling and notice what's going on with us, we also now have these tools to shift it and change it. And I gotta admit, I love that. As much as it seems important to honor what's true and work with what we notice and really get clear with what is happening with us, with a non-judgment that we get from yoga and meditation, it's also equally exciting and a little more doable when we know we can change it and we have some of our tools to make it even a little bit easier to do that looking within and that listening within and that noticing and of course that shifting. So just building in things like our use of yoga in all its forms, again, may or may not be on the mat, but the things that you're doing to connect you and reconnect you. And your use of meditation becomes a time and a place and a way that you're making sure you're tuning into you and then finding ways to tune up you. And of course, we know that means in your mind, in your body, in your spiritual feelings of connection, energetically, that you're getting to give yourself this like tune up with the practices. But really the tuning in, I think, is the big news and what we don't know about. I think that we get this idea that with things like meditation and yoga, we're going to learn to just turn off the mind and get rid of it. And that may be somehow we're going to help our mental health because mind is just a pain in the ass, right? And something we want to get rid of. And the less mind, the better, we might think is the thought in these worlds. But I don't think that's the case anymore. I think that, and that's I think why a lot of us aren't getting into things like meditation or using our yoga to reconnect like that, because we think if we can't shut off the mind that we are not doing it right. And so it's just not even worth trying. And here's where I think the fresh perspective is and how it ties into our mental health. Because I think it is important to find ways to tune into what is happening with us and be willing to deal with it more, to look at it more, to listen to it more, especially the hard stuff and even old stuff and things like feelings and thoughts and memories and worries and just stuff in life that may be going on that we may or may not want to notice. And here's the difference perhaps to previous ways and approaches with mental health and ourselves is maybe in the past we would just kind of find ways to stuff that down or not have to notice that and cruise through it or get stuck in it, right? And all of those don't seem to necessarily work either. So our connecting practices become a place to actually deal with it, to actually go in each day, more like every day, and see how we are doing. The non-judgment of yoga and meditation really helps with this. This is one of those first tools that makes it more doable and palpable is non-judgment. Deciding that what you're starting to observe and notice, nothing good or bad or right or wrong, just what's true right now, just where you're starting from, and that's going to help to look at it and allow it with that non-judgment, whether it's the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the energy, the worries, or the body symptoms and stuff, right? So that non-judgment is huge and a big piece of the psychology with how these things help our mental health alone. Probably just alone if we adopted the non-judgment from yoga and meditation, we'd do a lot better, right? So these practices, these ways give us a chance to tap in, tune into what is going on with our non-judgment and to start to allow it more, to start to free it up, to start to become more aware is just a huge tool. Awareness I know Kyle Cease says awareness is our greatest currency, that we're always just growing. And that's a very yoga thing to do, to own it, that awareness is huge and attention is big. And so starting to just bring in these tools more with how we're handling ourselves. So spending some time paying attention, building our awareness, just even noticing how we're doing, right? And allowing that and having ways to free that up and move through that again makes it so much easier and more pleasant to go in and do. So we have some of our tools like breath and relaxing and different things that make that process just easier to do. So some of that dropping in is part of the therapy, and then certainly we get to play from there at what we can shift and change. We get to address it all as energy, of course, and we have awesome ways to shift that. And a lot of it is about shifting our focus, right? Shifting our attention, building that awareness. But then also energetically, we have a lot of cool tools from yoga and meditation to actually do some energy medicine on ourselves, really shift how we're feeling, momentum, addressing it all as energy with non-judgment. So that becomes really cool and powerful, that we can go in, deal with what we're dealing with, and then also change and shift how we're feeling. There's also a piece too that's helpful for our mental health, with rocking and rewiring our mental health, which is that potential of quieting the mind. And certainly that's a great thing to learn. Here's what I think is fresh and new on that. I think that the big idea would be if we could just do like 2 to 5 seconds of quiet mind. And the power of that, it was almost like a clearing of the slate, a refreshing of the canvas. And now even scientists show us that creativity boosts after we have a few seconds even of quiet mind. I even like this windshield wipe imagery. That's why my hand keeps wanting to do that. That we could do in our minds. As it's idea of a practice is just imagining a little imaginary windshield wipe clearing your mind in the moment for 2 to 5 seconds. And that can be so curative and refreshing, and certainly help redirect the mind, refresh the mind, and help us develop a different relationship with the mind too. Because maybe that's the piece with mental health that can feel stressful or overwhelming, is like our mind is running us. So this becomes our chance to shift our relationship with the mind and watch it more, listen to it more, even just become more of an observer, but also being able to quiet it when we want to, and even redirect it and bring it back into the moment when we want to, so that we can be in our moments like we want to. And the mental health of that, just feeling like we can actually be in our moments with our loved ones when we want to, and that if we're noticing ourselves stressing out or worrying about something, that we can know how to bring ourselves back into some quiet and even redirect and refocus. So a lot of what we can be doing on the inside with these practices, it's really powerful and empowering. So it gives you the tools to do it for you. Although it does come from this place of really honoring what's true and starting with where you're starting from. And even if you have labels and diagnoses of various sorts, that you can just start where you're starting from and see what's possible for you, as far as just getting more into finding ways to tune into you, to reconnect you, and then of course to tune you up more in how you're feeling in your mind and in your mental health. And so you can start to see some ways that we are starting to rewire even our mental health. And a lot of this is just in habits and what we're feeding ourselves with. And that mental health also can be about like thriving, and that what can we do to be feeding ourselves so that we're at our most creative and most purposeful, passionate self. And that's probably that next, and maybe one of the last pieces here, is that another thing we get to do with this reconnecting, with this listening within, this is like the great news, is not only do we see the unpleasant stuff and deal with that and free it up, we also get to have the moments of quiet and even connecting, which is great. But the coolness is that this is when like inspiration and great ideas come through, when we're taking more time to listen within, right? When we're taking more time to reconnect with ourselves and maybe with that more true self, our hearts, our higher self, our wiser self, the universal part of us, whatever you want to call it, that can be what your connecting practices are about too. So getting more tapped in, tuned in, listening to the good ideas and actually acting on them, and how that translates into our mental health. because I feel like we're starting to see maybe a lot of our mental health stuff also is because we're not allowing our creative gifts through, and we're almost like a little bit pent up. And whether that may manifest as like depression or anxiety or other things, I love that spin really, because I think it's empowering. Like if it's really just about us tuning into ourselves more, tuning up ourselves more, and allowing like some of what we're here to do to come through, that maybe that's some of the keys to mental health, and where we might really see the shifts, that could be, and again, some of the reason to be connecting more and finding our ways to boost our mental health. And then maybe lastly, and this is very yoga in like a namaste idea, this remembering that we're all connected, and if we really want to be here to help, and if we're like concerned about the world, right, and we really want to help, it seems like more important than ever that we are finding ways to do this for ourselves, right? So it's like we can like handle our stuff and get into our flow so that we can help the world, so that we do have the energy and even the inspired ideas on how to help. And that we can really own that our mental health has so much to do with these very primary concepts that we get from yoga and meditation, like these things like focus and attention and awareness and non-judgment, and just making our lives more about connection and more ways that we're reconnecting ourselves, and even finding more ways to feel connected to everyone around us, to the earth, to all things, right? That's part of a connected lifestyle too, and the mental health of that. Because maybe also a lot of our mental health might be about feeling disconnected, which is kind of interesting, isn't it? That if then the answer could be about reconnecting. So if it's even about feeling lonely or isolated or separated, that certainly part of our connecting can be about remembering that we are all connected and feeling that more in a way that feels good, right? So, yeah, yoga, meditation, here to help us, if we're willing, if we're brave enough to let it help us to rock and even rewire our mental health. We can do it. I'm excited. So I'm so thankful to share this with you. Thanks for being here with me. Namaste.